Hey everybody, I'm Luca Paris and welcome to Monadnock Business Spotlight. It's the show that brings you the people, the organizations, the businesses who make up the Monadnock region and help it thrive. I am the president of the Greater Monadnock Collaborative. It's your regional chamber of commerce. And in the years that I've been the president, I've been so excited to meet the different people who run organizations or run their own business or are part of a movement and hear their passions about why they do it. What are they doing? So this is a great way for you to learn about the whole Monadnock region without ever leaving your headphones. And if you want to listen to our podcast, WKBKradio.com, head over to podcast, go all the way down the bottom. Monadnock Business Spotlight is on there. And you can also listen to the episodes on WKBK Radio right here in Keene, New Hampshire. So I like I said, I love doing the show because I love learning about new people. I love introducing new people to our community. And if you're new to the community, this is a great way. That's easy for me to say, tough for you to hear, but a great way for you to learn about who's in our community. And one of the organizations that you might see the initials places, and you'll see the banners down when you drive down Main Street certain times of the year, but it's MCVP. So that's the Monadnock Center for Violence Protection, or violent, right? Did I say that right, Mick? Prevention. Thank you. You don't have to whisper. You can talk. It's a great way. This is my way of introducing you. I told you I'm not a professional. I just do this on TV. Mick is with us. Mick Hirsch, who's the executive director for the Monadnock Center for Violence
Prevention.
Thank you. That's so much easier. Mick, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate this. We're making light of the name right now because I got it wrong, but it's a really important organization. And for a lot of people, they don't know about it. Why don't we start off with introducing yourself and what MCVP does? I think that's important.
Absolutely. That's great. Well, first of all, I'm thrilled to be here. So thank you so much for the opportunity to chat, to get to know one another. I am new to the area. So in your little introduction, I'm going to have to go back and check out some of these podcasts because I think they'll be great for me as someone who's only been in the region for about 8 months now. But I have had such a great opportunity to take this role at the Monadnock Center for Violence Prevention, MCVP. So I myself, just briefly, I was trained as a pastoral counselor, and I was also trained in psychiatric chaplaincy. I got into that line of work really because of September 11th, and I was in divinity school at the time down in Connecticut at Yale. And September 11th took place during my second year, and it just felt so close, and I had never experienced anything like it. The trauma was just overwhelming for really everybody. And I just looked at myself in the mirror and I said, if I'm going to really be in this helping profession, I've got to know how to help people. And I did not know how to help people at the time with that kind of trauma. So I just really started learning as much as I could about trauma, trying to just experience it by, helping people working in hospitals. Then I got into refugee resettlement. That eventually led me to work overseas in Cambodia for 3 years. And then I worked for 6 years in Uganda. And then now I'm just pivoting back to the United States to do some work here in Keene, New Hampshire. So it's a bit of a whirlwind trip, but it's good for me. I'm glad to be able to kind of use some of my experiences and education to apply here locally. And my background, again, was always in trauma recovery. Specifically, I started getting into sexual and gender-based violence very early in my career. And that was really important for me, especially as a man, to really kind of take on that sort of work. And I think it's really important for more and more men to be involved because we got to do this together. And so this was a great organization for me to join.
So I want to take a step, but I do want to get into the mission and what you do. And you've spoken a couple of times where I've been, and you've told stories and about things that are going on and how important MCVP is to a community. I want to take a step back, and it feels like most of your life you've dealt with trauma, and not all of it is your own, but you have to absorb some of it some way. How do you stay focused and healthy, and who takes care of the people who take care of us?
Yeah.
And how do you take care of yourself? And I don't know why I went on this tangent, but the first thing I thought of is what you've seen and what you hear from people in your life must be so difficult sometimes. How does it not affect you into doing what you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so the work that I've done has been in really kind of extreme, complex trauma, working in post-genocide societies, working with survivors of torture, post-conflict, that sort of thing. So yes, I've seen kind of, the worst of the worst of it all. I get this question a lot. I think for me personally, this was really kind of like a calling for me. And it's really one of those things where I just kind of had to recognize that this work is really important. If I'm going to do it, I've got to do it. And I've just got to plow ahead and do it. And and not everybody can do that. And, I really feel very special that I've been able to do that. It's not that it doesn't affect me on an emotional and personal level, right, but I just feel like, this is really how I'm giving back to my community, how I'm giving back to my world. And if I'm going to do that, I just got to press on. Now, when it comes to my staff and the people who I work with, I totally recognize that this is extremely difficult work, that it touches, it touches us personally. Sometimes we sit there with a client. It looks like we're looking in the mirror because the case is so similar to, some of the things that we've been through. So I totally recognize that when it comes to other people who are in the helping professions like this, that it may not be so easy to just dissociate yourself from some of that secondary trauma. So I really try to do as much as I possibly can to support my staff. So I think that's really, really important. But as for me, I do the best I can to just push along.
Well, it's something to think about, and in some ways I'm hoping you moving, and I don't know where you've lived before, what the environment was like when you get out of work, but you moving to the Monadnock region, maybe we give you some sort of serenity when you get out. I don't know. That's what I'm hoping. Go climb a mountain or a hike. I don't.
Hey, it's a beautiful part of the world, yeah, so that's for sure.
Yeah, just watch a sunset somewhere around here.
Exactly.
Let's talk about MCVP again. People see the signs, or they'll walk past your office on Main Street and not really know what that means. And and you don't even know how you could get in touch with them sometimes, because I lived in my life, I've never needed it, or no one in my family has, and I'm happy for that. But I almost don't know if I know where to go if I did, right?
Sure.
Or someone that I know did. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about the organization, what your mission is, and how people really should find out about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for that. And I think you're certainly not alone. And one of our core mission, work is to fight against that. We want people to know who we are. Right. We want people to know what we do, and we want people to know when and how they can find us. And they can really find us, 24/7. We have a crisis line that is open 365 days a year. You can always talk to an advocate, and that's really, really important. But as far as the work that we do, there are, unfortunately, in our world, so many different kinds of violence. We focus on 4 of them. We focus on domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, and human trafficking. And within human trafficking, we focus on both labor trafficking and sex trafficking. So those are the 4 areas of violence that are part of our name at the moment. In the future, maybe we'll expand to include a few other things. There's a lot of things that you hear all the time in the news now around like cyber violence and, people being stalked online and financial abuse that takes place online and all this kind of thing. So, and that's something that I'm very mindful of and that, perhaps in the future we'll get into. But for now, we stick with those 4 areas. And with regards to what we do, we have basically 2 pillars or 2 kind of like departments within our organization. One is direct services. The other is education. The education team, a lot of people don't even realize that we have that, but it's such an important part of who we are and our identity to, again, try to just get out into the community and make the work that we do known. And we start young. We want to start with kids. And so we spend a lot of time out in the schools. We've got curricula that go from pre-K through university level, which I think is just really amazing. If you boil it down, what it's all about is healthy relationships. It's about setting good boundaries. It's about recognizing what is appropriate and not appropriate behavior. It's about understanding what consent is. It's about those kind of basic things that are just so important. And it's about knowing how you can get help and knowing, when is a good time to, to reach out and talk to somebody and say, hey, this is confusing for me. I don't really know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know what's going on with my friend. I don't know what's going on with my colleague, my coworker. Right. You can reach out to us and we can help walk you through those sorts of things. So our education team is doing that public awareness, that outreach. Our direct services staff, they're the frontline responders. They're right there. They're the ones who are going to greet you at the door if you come and just, because you're in crisis and you run to our office and you ring the doorbell. One of our advocates is going to meet you there. They are the frontline responders. They're the ones picking up the phones. They're the ones that are going to sit down and talk to you, try to calm you down a little bit, figure out what those next steps are, whether it's finding housing, whether it's filing a protection order with the court system or whatever. Those are the frontline responders who are going to help you out.
So you have it. That's amazing. I mean, so how many people are working there? First of all, sounds like a lot.
Sounds like a lot. 12.
Wow. And you're all doing this.
We could use another 12 for sure, which is unfortunate, but we have 12 people, and it's very difficult because our name is and our mandate is the Monadnock region. Right. We're the Monadnock Center for Violence Prevention. We're the only organization in the entire Monadnock region that is dedicated to this particular line of work.
30 plus towns, a city.
44, because we also do Western Hillsborough, right? And so we've got a lot of area to cover, and with 12 people, we just can't do it. And that's the sort of thing that keeps me up at night because it's heartbreaking. I'm a helper. I want to support people and do what I can. And when you know that you're not reaching everybody, that you're not able to provide that education outreach so people know about you, you're not able to provide those direct services to the people who are most in need, especially the people in our rural areas who don't have easy access, who can't just jump in a car and drive easily to get to Keene to meet us where we are. It's really hard. It's really hard.
So there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, I do want to talk about on the kids level on education. You have to have people out there doing it. And then the work with them, how do you, in a world where kids know more now than we ever did because of the internet and things like that, is it easier or harder now to have these conversations with them?
Oh, wow. That's a really interesting question.
They could come in with a whole different viewpoint on what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, it's probably a both and. Okay. I think there's probably some things because our culture and society has evolved to in that we tend to be having conversations with kids that my parents never had with me when I was young. Ever, even when I was old. Right.
I feel like they were like, you figured that out on your own.
Exactly. It was pretty much that. So I it's a really interesting question, and I'd probably have to think more about that and ask our educators that are doing the work. But I think that some of it is also that we're also trying to figure things out as a society. Like the whole technology thing is not something that we have, years of data and experience with. Right. The AI generated images that are, where people are able to put someone else's face on someone else's body, and you start putting these things out without consent onto social media and in these different chat rooms and all kinds of websites. We don't have a lot of experience as a society with that kind of thing, but and in some ways the youth are going to have more experience than we are, and they become almost like our teachers in some ways because we're learning from them about how crazy stuff is going on, and then we're trying to kind of figure it out together. So it's a pretty complicated thing, and again, that's why I think that technology piece is something that I really like to see MCVP go. Eventually, and really become a leader in, not even just regionally, but, really a leader in helping people who have been, victimized by some kind of cyber crime, that we would be in a place perhaps where, people could go and get some support.
Now, if I hear you right, do you reach out to whether it's schools or organizations to do this, or can they reach out to you on the education piece? Again,
both and. So, okay. So we tend to reach out to a lot of schools. So we're in a lot of public schools. I think we're in We're in over 30 schools, I think, in the region, which is really pretty amazing. And we do our best to kind of have some continuity of programming, meaning that if we're in a school this year, we want to try to go back next year so that we can just reinforce, some of that learning, because we recognize that, especially with younger people, they need that positive reinforcement over the course of time, not just, a one-off sort of, seminar or workshop or something like that. So we try to we try to go and support that with the continuity. So we're reaching out to public schools. We're in a lot of charter schools. We don't do as much with private schools. That's a little bit of a different sector. Although we'd like to we'd always like to get into that. We've done some with the Dublin School, I think, in the past, and then the Keene State College and Franklin Pierce University are two areas where we spend a lot of time and provide a lot of support with. So we've got really good relationships with those people, and and so that's been really, really positive. And so, for example, at the universities like Keene State, we're providing our education for all of the athletic teams, which is just, I think, awesome. Those students and even the coaches are getting, some of this really important training. And, we're in with the Greek life. So the sororities and the fraternities are getting this because they're, everybody knows they're kind of the big party throwers. And so a lot of stuff can happen there. But we're doing our best to preemptively provide some of that knowledge and education, because the thing we want to interrupt is if that first infraction never happens, right? If the person who is a potential abuser never has that first abuse, that's huge. Yep. Because if they never have that first one, guess what? They're never going to have a second one.
Right.
So that's that's really what we're aiming for. You
can prevent one thing from happening.
Exactly.
That day or whatever. It makes a big difference.
Exactly.
How much do you get involved with our other first responders? I mean, whether it's fire or police, do you guys have a relationship with them that they get people to you? You make them aware of other things. What's that like locally?
Yeah, I'll say we love those people. So we have to be a team, with them. So our law enforcement is just absolutely crucial, right? Because they are also frontline responders to these things. They're the ones that are getting the 911 calls for a domestic dispute or something like that, and those are some of the most dangerous calls that a law enforcement officer can respond to. And so, they need us to help, work against this whole problem that our society has. And we need them to make sure that they are doing the best work that they can to get that survivor safe and secure and, out of the hands of the abuser. And so, we work really, really closely with them. We work closely with, and we offer some trainings and things and workshops to to the different fire departments and that sort of thing. We do a lot with the Cheshire Medical Center, of course, and so we have a very good relationship with some of their nursing staff.
That's amazing.
And everything. So
you have one of those jobs that I think you wish you could work yourself out of. What I mean is solve all these problems and never have to deal with this again. I'm sure that's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what I see from my point of view is that you're taking care of the situations that are happening right now and hopefully educating so there are less of those for the future, right? And if you go at it from both angles, it should be maybe you only need 12 people. It would be horrible if you need 50 people to take care of this, right? You don't want to.
Yeah, right.
But the part that brings me to this is how do you get funded? And I think the audience wants to know because, well, how does the community support you? Yeah. How do you get funded otherwise? How do we help in your goal and your mission?
Yeah. Great question. So with regards to the funding piece, we get a lot of our funding from the state and federal governments through grants, a disproportionate amount. But we at the end of the day, and this is partly my my personal vision. At the end of the day, we are a true community organization. We live and work and operate in the community for the community. So we want the community to be involved. And frankly, as a nonprofit organization, one of the most important things to keep our doors open is that we need funding. So definitely, people within the community who are contributing from their financial resources and with financial gifts. I mean, that's huge for us. That's so huge. That's how we can hire another advocate, so that we have one more person out there in the field who can maybe reach one more town or two more towns that currently we aren't being able to serve. But there are right now, as I'm talking, people struggling and suffering because they don't know who we are and they don't know where to go. But if we had just a little bit more funding and we could hire another person, that's huge. And as the community, those individuals who are doing that are our partners. And I know sometimes it doesn't feel like, writing a check is the way that people would like to be involved, but it's a huge way to be involved, especially with the kind of work that we do. But we do have opportunities for volunteers. We do have, some events that go on, and we can, we really just want to talk about who we are, what we do, why we do it, and make sure that people understand it's important and know that we are a safe place that is part of your community.
And it must be something else that you have to spend a lot of your time making sure you're funded so you can take care of people when you'd rather be taking care of people. If it was in a perfect world, you shouldn't have to worry about funding to do what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Right? And it would be great that everyone could just see this and go, we'll take care of you. You go take care of us.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's any executive director for any nonprofit organization, whether regardless of whether you're working for the environment or the arts or human services like we do, who doesn't dream of having a $5 million endowment that you can just kind of like rest on, not to be lazy, but so that you can just really focus 100% on the work, and until you have that kind of a back. Something that you can lean against. You're always worrying about, you're always worrying about how am I going to pay salaries? How are we going to keep the doors open? How are we going to do this or that? And that's extremely frustrating. But yeah, part of the reality.
So we're coming up on the end of this, which it's amazing. We could talk for like 3 hours. And
I'd be happy to talk for 3 hours, Luca. That'd be fun. I could talk about this all day.
So if someone's listening right now and they're moved to either help financially, possibly volunteering, or working in any way with you, or wanting to learn more or help spread your message, how can they get in touch with you? What's the best way to contact the offices as well?
Yeah, great. I think one place for the core information about who we are or what services we offer, some additional resources about most of the things that I just talked about, is our website. So our website is www.mcvprevention.org. mcvprevention.org. And you can also check out our social media, especially our Facebook page, which is updated, I think, just about every day, sometimes more often even than that. We've got all of our events. We've got a bunch of things about specific days of the year that are important. And you can find us, again, just under Monadnock Center for Violence Prevention if you do a Facebook search for that.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being on. This was amazing.
Thank you. It was great. It was amazing.
It was. Thank you. And literally, I've run up to the end of this, so it doesn't happen very often. I usually have a lot of time to thank you again. But mcvprevention.org to get more information about events and ways you can help out. This is one of those incredible shows that I hope you share with other folks. And we will see you next time on Monadnock Business Spotlight.